My name is Naman Sharma. I'm a technology solutions architect with worldwide technology focusing on data center networking. Today I'm going to talk about integration of OpenStack with Cisco ACI. If you go into the ACI dashboard, the APIC, we are using the latest version 1.2. This is our OpenStack dashboard. Currently, I see there are no tenants created by OpenStack. This is which we have already running in our environment. But apart from that, there is no other tenant created inside ACI. You will see that once we go and start creating tenants in OpenStack, they will start showing up automatically here in ACI. So let's get started. This is my admin page. Here I'm gonna go and create a project, which means tenant from a ACI language standpoint, and also assign a local user to that project slash tenant. Currently this is I'm in the admin project or admin view. I click on identity. I go and create a project. We will call it wwt OpenStack. And now I'm going to click on create project. I will go to users and create a local user. Let our user be IT and we give it a password. Now we will assign this user to the project which we have created. And we go and create this user. As you can see, this user IT with the username of IT has been created, and there is already a project called wwt OpenStack, and this user is assigned to this project. Now I'm gonna open browser and log in to this project as a IT user and use the credentials which I have created in this user tab. Now I am in my tenant view, and this is the project or tenant which I have created, wwt OpenStack. So the first thing I'm gonna go and do is go to the network tab. and click on networks. Then I'm gonna click on create a network. A network in OpenStack is a layer 2 domain. It's just like VLAN. So I will call it a web network, and subnet is the same which we all understand, subnet, which is our IP address boundary. So I call it a web subnet, and I give it a network address of 10 10 10 slash 24. I click on next and say create. So one network with the subnet of 10.10.10.0/24 has been created. I am gonna go ahead and create two more networks. I will give it a name app. This network will be in 20.20.20 range. I follow the same process, next, and create. Now I will create the third one, DB. I'm trying to show here a 3-tier app. And this will be in 30.30.30 subnet. So as you can already see, I have created 3 different networks in 3 different subnets. So I have my web servers in a separate subnet as compared to app servers and database servers. So because they are in separate subnet, for them to talk to each other, they need a router. If I want the VMs to talk to each other across the subnets. So now I'm gonna go ahead and create a router. For that, I'm gonna click on this routers and I say create router. Let's just call it this project router. So I say create router. Now the router has been created, but it's a virtual router. It is doing nothing until we add those subnets to that router. And it is, from a virtual standpoint, it's, or if you compare that with the physical router, you're just adding your Ethernet interfaces of the router in each subnet. So you add those interfaces to the router. So you go inside the router and you click on add interface. You would select the interface which you have created. These are the subnets which you have created: web, app, database. So I will first select web. It says that this is attaching to this router name which we have defined, and that's the router ID. I'm gonna say add interface. This interface has been added. I will go ahead and do the same step for the remaining 2 interfaces. App, at this point I have added all the 3 interfaces, and see here they have all got .1. So my router in this interface is the default gateway for all the VMs. So it can do the routing between the subnets. I can also take a look at the topology. For that I have to go to network topology right here. I click on network topology and it will bring up the topology. This is my router, which is this, and it says it's active. So the router has been created and it has 3 interfaces which are in each different subnet. My green represents web subnet, orange represents database, and blue represents app. They all are connected to the router. Let's go and look at the APIC and see what has been created so far. You see here, this tenant was not there earlier, and this is the same wwt OpenStack which we have created. So this tenant automatically gets created once we create a project in all the subnets and routers in OpenStack. We didn't have to touch ACI at all. If I go inside this tenant, let me click on that. You will see that we have 3 bridge domains. And again, those bridge domains are created based on the subnets which we have created. So there is already an app, and it will have a subnet which is .1, and same goes for database and web. So we have 3 bridge domains created based on the subnets which we created in OpenStack. Also, let's take a look at the OpenStack application profile. Again, we have 3 EPGs, web, app, database, which have been created, and they have been created through OpenStack. So it tells you that. And if I go into each and every EPG by clicking on this box, I will see that it is assigned to the bridge domain which is already created by OpenStack. So you can see that my ACI is automatically configured through OpenStack based on my subnets, network, and router I created in OpenStack. So let us go back to OpenStack dashboard. Now we have the network setup. We will add virtual machines to each and every subnet, which will show up under EPGs. So I go to under compute instances and I click on instances. I will say launch instance. Here I'm going to give the name. I will call it web VM. I will only create one virtual machine. Instance is virtual machine. Instance is the language in OpenStack which means virtual machine. So I'm going to create one virtual machine, and the image I'm going to use is I'm going to boot from the image I already have, which is a Cirrus image. I will go to networking and I will add this virtual machine under web network, which we have created earlier, and I say launch. Pretty straightforward. Similarly, I will create 2 more virtual machines, one in app and the other in database. I will follow the same step which I have followed earlier. And you see here that virtual machine NIC gets attached to that network and it becomes part of that network right here. Click launch. And this will be part of database. At this point, I have three virtual machines, each in separate subnet, separate network. WebVM has got an IP address of 10.10.10.2. App has got an IP address of 20.20.20.2, and database has got an IP address of 30.30.30.2. Let's again go back and take a look at our ACI. If I go into each and every EPG, I should see those virtual machines showing up. So I go to my application profile. Under that, if I click on EPG app, and I click on operational, that's the .2 virtual machine which is in the app showing up here. And it is showing you that on what leaf and what port this virtual machine is learned. Same goes for database. I click on this, operational, and 30.2. Also, if I go here under VM networking and I click on VM networking, I will see OpenStack. So there are three different virtual machine manager integration you can do: Microsoft, OpenStack, VMware. I expand on the OpenStack, and I will see these three port groups created. And port group is more of a VMware term, but that's, just from an understanding standpoint, so you understand this, are created, and these we created in OpenStack. It automatically shows up in ACI. We are using an Open vSwitch, which is running on each and every hypervisor. So now let's go back and test our connectivity between the virtual machines. And ACI is doing all the routing and switching between the virtual machines. So I will go to the web VM. Again, it is in the 10 network .2. And .1 is the default gateway which is on every bridge domain. I log into console. If I do ifconfig, I will see again the IP address of .2 just to verify. So let us first ping our default gateway, which is .1. And you can see I have connectivity. Now I'm gonna go ahead and ping my app VM, which is in 20.20.20.2 network. And you can see I have connectivity to that also. Let me also go and try to ping the database VM, which is in 30 network. And I have connectivity to that. So you see, without touching the ACI, I was able to configure a 3-tier app topology, and an OpenStack talks to ACI, and ACI gets programmed everything on its own. You don't have to touch ACI. That is the power of automation and orchestration through OpenStack. It is very, very easy to create your own environment. I don't have to wait for an infrastructure admin to give me IP address, what subnets I have to use. I can choose my own. It's completely multi-tenant. I have complete isolation, and I can build an environment where my virtual machines can talk to each other completely isolated for my testing or DevOps. This completes our demonstration. Thank you so much for watching. For more information, please visit wwt.com.